Ross, thanks so much for doing this. Thank you for taking time out to talk to us today ahead of, I think what we all agree is going to be a fairly consequential series against the Yankees. Look, this team's probably going to win less games this year than it did last year, which was less than the year before. You've professed faith in the process and the coaches, all during the offseason and now, but I think for a lot of us, it's hard not to come away from this thinking either the process and the people responsible have failed or the players just aren't good enough. Which is it? And if it is a systemic thing, if it gets back to the process, can we expect this front office to correct it?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Good to hear your voices. Good to be here. It is a big series. Every game is big. In the world of baseball, I think the importance of each day is something that is something to balance constantly, and not to put too much emphasis on one game or one series, and treating them all with incredible urgency. So, and as it relates to your question, we acknowledge and understand the frustration that you have, that fans have, that your listeners have, and we share it. We have worked tirelessly to correct it, and all of our energy and effort is focused on that. And changes, as it relates to changes, whether it be personnel, players, front office, all of those things, we fall back on the same things, not creating change just to have something different or new, but constantly thinking about improvement and getting better. And as it relates to this environment and team, there has been significant turnover over the 6 years or so that a lot of these players have been here, or certainly for 4. And they have experienced change. They have experienced different leaders. They've experienced different hitting influences. They've experienced different offensive processes that you have to adjust to each year, to each series. And we understand that we have not done that well enough to date in this year. We see the last several years as successful ones, not ending in the World Series. It obviously ends with the disappointment, that it doesn't mean, in our view, that it wasn't successful. This year has been different. We are not in a great position. We put ourselves in a very difficult one. We're still, feel that there is time, with the right energy and focus on each day and each at bat and each pitch, that we can turn things around, but it has to happen soon.
You say it has to happen soon. Realistically, when does time run out in this group, to your mind? I mean, I'm not asking you to pick a date, but when does time run out for this group?
Well, I mean, it's kind of built into the question. What picking a date versus not, which we wouldn't do. There's deadlines in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a trade deadline, which is a natural one, and we're not going to self-impose another one. We'll use every day to its benefit and power to learn more about how we can. Right now our focus is on this team and the 24 season and make the best possible run. We know it needs to be a very good one. And then if we need to pivot, we'll be prepared to do so.
Ross, you talked last season's lack of offense as a blip or a one-off. How do you view this year so far when it comes to your offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, really that was one comment about, specifically to one question. And when I use that terminology, having said that, last year's offense was lower than what we expected in terms of run scoring. A lot of individual performances were very solid, but not enough to score enough runs that we feel, certainly in the playoffs, we didn't score enough to make a run, and we scored enough to get into them. But it's more about finding ways and solutions to be more consistent, to score more on a regular basis, and it just doesn't fall on one individual, one player, or 2 or 3 players. So therefore, it has to fall on me, and for us to correct that in the best possible way that we can. We're working tirelessly towards that, and I'm, everything in my power, everything in our power to improve upon it, understand that we put ourselves behind.
Do you think maybe, Ross, that you guys overreacted to that? The front office, pardon me, not you guys. The front office overreacted to that playoff loss to Seattle 2 years ago, and put the focus on run prevention, maybe at the expense of offense, right? Like, it seems to me you traded three everyday players, Lourdes, Teoscar, and, Gabriel Moreno. I mean, whatever his numbers are, at least he could play every day. And you traded basically a third of a lineup for a bullpen arm and, one guy, Dalton Varsho, who's a terrific defender. Do you think that maybe you course corrected too much in that offseason and that it's been, you've basically spent the past 2 years trying to, I guess, course correct the course correction?
Nah, I mean, listen, like I'll take I understand the question. I understand the criticism because the outcomes are definitely in line with that question. But we would have to go back and dissect those trades and then where playing time was, where money was, and how it's reallocated for it to answer it that black and white. So, I could do that, but it would eat up the next 10 or 15 minutes on one question and probably not the most productive use of our time. Really excited about the acquisition of Dalton Varsho from his defense and his offense this year. Some home runs last year, but he's really, really been a good piece to the puzzle for us, that understanding that puzzle's not solved, that we need to continue to improve it and it needs to get better. But no, it's about building the best possible team with the resources that you have. And at each juncture trying to do that, which is today, we're still trying to do that.
You said in a recent interview, I think it was on the MLB Network. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk at this point where this team is about the future of Vladdy and Bo. And you said that trading Vladdy or Bo, quote, wouldn't make sense for us. Why?
Well, for a lot of reasons. They're really good players that are part of the solution is the first one, and all of our energy is focused on supporting them at this point. They are part of the solution is the main reason to that, and it's not just about this year, as they're under control next year, and they've been very important to the organization, and we hope that they continue to be. So there's obviously the opportunity to extend them as well.
So are we to take from that answer then that you think you can still sign them? Because, I mean, look, I'm sure you know as well as anybody, I mean, the industry frankly doesn't think you're going to be able to sign both of them, or it would have been done by now.
Yeah, I think that opportunity is still there. Now, it's not going to happen before the trade deadline. A lot of that dialogue doesn't happen in season. It would take a lot, on both sides for that to happen in this next off season. And certainly if it doesn't, then it would, we can obviously have an opportunity to do so in free agency or just before free agency. I still think it's realistic for that to occur.
Ross, it's obvious that George has been underperforming. How do you know when it's time to platoon him so, he can get back to who he is as an offensive player?
Yeah, if we didn't see first of all, the work and the willingness to think about adjustments in a really significant way. And I say significant, it's not like George Springer needs an overhaul. He's still a very talented player, and baseball is a really hard game that you know as well as anyone. And it's his openness and his work to tweaking the adjustments to the way he's being attacked and the increase in velo that's happened in this game, and the increase also not only just in velo, but in slider and curveball usage and how that should impact his work. And then the recent results that we see that don't end up in a stat line as productively as they do in just watching the games, and how good his at-bats have been, how good his misses have been, and some of the contact has really been encouraging, where to us, to our hitting coaches, to Schneid's, to myself, he looks like a force. And it just hasn't turned into the results that we need, but we're confident it still can.
Can you see how that would frustrate the hell out of people, though?
I understand frustration. I share it. It's not something that, we just sit back and say it's going to happen. Everything that we do is measured, and everything that we do is to win baseball games.
Ross, I'm wondering, I'm not a fan when reporters say, you know, we've got emails from people or we've heard from people, but I mean, we do a call-in show and we do hear from people. And quite frankly, we've had people call up and say that they're almost at the point where it's not that they don't like the team, they don't necessarily like watching it. I'm just wondering, look, this is a marketing thing as well as anything else. It's a consumer product as well as anything else. Are you worried that maybe, you know, there's been a lot of the goodwill that was built up here in 2015 and 2016 has been burnt? And how do you get that back? Is it just a matter of winning?
Well, winning, you know, is the most important. That is for sure. There's a lot of things you can do to build your fan base, but I think nothing is more powerful than winning, and that's where all of our energy goes. And although it does, bother me to hear that, I share the frustration. I share, all of the stress that comes with the difficulty of not realizing our potential and meeting our expectation. But where our focus and energy goes is back to doing everything we can to win, acknowledging that hasn't happened to date this year. And that's where our focus is.
Ross, I think you would be talking about, obviously we've talked about Vladdy, how good he looks and you know, how that would help you guys starting to win more. I would think the other guy is Bo. Ross, I don't know about you, but this is sort of the most lost I've ever seen Bo at the plate. It just looks like, you know, he's a free swinger, but I don't think like this, right? And just some of the pitches that we consistently see him miss is just odd. Is there anything you guys can point your finger at to maybe speed the process along? I know John's putting him in the leadoff spot, maybe giving him a little confidence, sort of giving him a different look, a different routine. Maybe that'll help. But is anybody in your front office seeing something that maybe could help Bo speed things along, make him a little bit better, quicker?
Yeah, his swing looks good. He's always been a hitter that loves to see the ball deep, and he's one of the best in the game at doing so. I'm so confident that is going to bode well for him. He knows how to adjust the velo. He knows how to adjust the hitters that are attacking him in different ways. It has been a tough stretch for him, but I will bet on him all day long figuring it out. And to answer your question, if we saw something, then hopefully we would have already gotten it corrected. I think, it's really just, it's such a difficult thing to do is to hit. And that's not by any means something we can rest on. It's difficult for every team and difficult for every hitter. But I just have so much confidence. We have so much confidence in Bo that he's going to get it turned around, and he's going to be a big part of the solution.
Ross, historically, you guys have been pretty good at addressing pitching issues, whether it's through free agency or, I think back of the in-season trades for Adam Simber and Trevor Richards, which were huge acquisitions. Why have you not moved as boldly this year to address some pretty significant bullpen issues? And, when you kind of decided to run it back with this group, do you think now that maybe, good intentions aside, it was a little bit of misplaced faith in some of the relievers?
Well, we've had some really positive stories. We're very confident that we're hopeful and confident that we'll get, Yimmy and Jordan back into the fold. They're obviously big pieces of the equation. We felt like and feel like we've had good depth to step up. Nate Pearson's been very good for us. Chad Green's obviously been very good, which is why we extended last year. Then we've had good stories in Brandon Little, and Timmy Meza hasn't had the year that he normally has, but we know he's a contact guy, and that's going to happen. And Cabrera's been throwing the ball a lot better. So Trevor Richards, you mentioned, has been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So when you think about replacement, it's where, and just replacing Yimmy Garcia or just replacing Jordan Romano is not an easy thing to do. Any team that has a player that's available of that magnitude is not looking to sell them at this point. So it'd be hard to acquire somebody at that level. So the way that we've adjusted this year is from within, and we've had some guys step up in a pretty positive way.
Leaving aside Bo and Vladdy, do you have enough pieces you can move to maybe correct 2024? In other words, guys who are potential free agents that you can move and maybe not throw in the towel in a year, but give this team something it doesn't have right now.
I'm sorry, Jeff, I don't understand. Are you asking about
I'm saying
adding
for
to the team in 24.
Yeah, leaving Bo and Vladdy aside, like, do you have enough, whether it's minor league players of interest or guys on the roster, you could move that would, help this year, right? As well as looking ahead.
We absolutely do. We recognize that our farm system, after 5 years of pushing to get into this position of having competitive teams, and albeit this year not where we want to be, we have been aggressive in adding to the group from a trade standpoint. So we recognize that our farm system is taking a hit because of that, but we certainly still have the pieces to acquire talent for this year and beyond.
Ross, as you well know, whenever a team that has expectations like your team do, there's a lot of unknowns around the manager. We're big fans of John because every Friday he comes on, he's very open. We ask questions, just like we're asking questions of you, and, he answers them the best he can. But the big question is, and it'll continue to be this, will John be the manager at the end of the season? And that's the question I have you. In your mind, do you think he will be the manager for the Blue Jays at the end of the season?
He has my full support. He is tough, smart, and prepared, and he has the clubhouse. He's done an incredible job as a young manager coming into a very, very intense environment and learning and growing from it. He's had to make an adjustments, but he is tough and smart, and he has my full support.
I always tell people that when I started hosting a sports talk show, I cashed in my journalist card for the most part, and I'm more of a fan than anything else. And I'm a fan of good baseball, and I hate bad baseball. As I'm sure I'm not the only one in that category. But what would you say to those of us who wonder whether or not, in addition to saving 2024, whether or not you and the rest of the front office, deserve an opportunity, to deserve a chance to create the next window of opportunity, because that's where this discussion is going to go eventually.
Yeah, Jeff, I just focus on the job and the task at hand that I can control, and understand the frustration that our fans have. And I believe it's fair for fans to be frustrated with our expectations as we share them. All of our energy just turns to how can we get better, make sure we're not finger pointing, make sure we're not casting blame in any way, and ensure that we have a solution-focused environment. And I'm so proud and impressed of our players and in our staff, and especially of John Schneider, because the stress is real. It is a very, very, very strong feeling that you have in these jobs and in these roles. And our players and John Schneider and his staff have weathered that stress exceptionally well by thinking about solutions and support. And I know that's not good enough, but because of that, that gives us hope and confidence that our players can get it turned around. And to answer your question on the status of the front office, I just focus, just as we ask our players to do, on things that are solution focused.
You think you guys still have the support of ownership then in your mind?
We certainly feel that, yes. And all of my energy and focus is on solutions.
Ross, really good of you to do this today. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it, Ross.
Anytime,
Thank you
Jeff.
so much.
Okay, Kevin.
Take care.
See you guys.
See ya.
It's Ross Atkins, Executive Vice President and General Manager